and welcome to your second session of Statistics for Managers. Today we're going to be looking at presenting data in tables and charts in Chapter 2 in your book. Now, a lot of what we're going to do today is going to be done on the computer. This can be a very frustrating thing. I know, because I just spent the last 3 hours trying to make something work so that I can more easily explain it to you. I've been working with statistics on computers for about 9 years. And you as newbies, I will try to make it as easy as possible for you. Now, what you need to do is don't let your fear or frustration get in the way of your learning. This is primary to understanding how we can best present data in tables and charts. Now, what you need to understand is that we are trying to condense information. Students in the past have gotten into this chapter and just submitted books and books of information. This is not what we want to do. Think about this as how you can most effectively reduce the amount of data into a nice picture. If it's true what they say, a picture paints 1,000 words, we can also say a picture paints 1,000 numbers. So let's think about these tables and charts as pictures and how we can best paint a picture with data. What picture would be appropriate for what situation? Now, as we walk through this, you have to understand, as we talked about in Chapter 1, we have two different types of data: categorical and numerical, qualitative and quantitative data. Now, we present categorical or quantitative data different than we present numerical or quantitative. Now, why? This is very simple. One deals with letters and one deals with numbers. If we were going to try to best graph the amount of pets as we've introduced ourselves, the percent of dogs and cats, fish, other type of pets as we've introduced ourselves in discussion board 1, we would do that much different than if we would do our median salaries or our, you fill in the blank. Now, as we step through this, the beginning of Chapter 2 will be for qualitative data, and the end of Chapter 2 will be for quantitative data. Qualitative data involves things like pie charts and bar charts, things that we go back into even grade school. These can be very simple things, very easy to read. What we're going to work on and focus on is how to do this in Excel. What we're going to need you to do right now is get out the CD that came with your book, and I want you to install the program PHStat2. Okay, this is a macro that goes with Excel. It works with Excel, and it will more easily allow us to make these graphs. And our book steps you through step-by-step directions on how to get this done. Now, if you don't have PHStat, if you don't have the CD, I will have this online, and make sure you go online and pick it. On page 32 in your book is a using statistics at The Choice is Yours, and it describes how The Choice is Yours is a company who picked 839 mutual funds which could be of interest for its customers. That's the first half of page 32. Go ahead and read that. Figure out what we're dealing with. Number one, and primary to understanding data, is understanding where it came from. If we don't know where the data came from, it just seems like abstract numbers. But if we can really get a grasp on where the data came from, then we can have an idea of how better to paint a picture with that data. Now, once you get finished reading mutual funds, I want you to go to the CD, put it in your computer, and you'll find a folder in the Browse folder called then Excel Data Files. And in Excel Data Files, you'll find the data file called mutual funds. Okay? So take a second and open that up. This section, I'll be using Excel 2007. If you're using Excel 1997 to 2003, that is okay. The book gives direction for both 2007 and 2003. It's no problem. Now, again, if you don't have access to Excel, you'll have to email me, and I've heard from no one this week, so I am assuming that we all have access to Excel. The first thing we're going to deal with is the bar chart. I'm on page 33 and 34. There are many ways to make a bar chart in Excel. What I want you to do is do it through PHStat. In order to use PHStat, once I've installed it on my computer, I have to go access it from my programs list. Every time that I want to use it, it does not automatically open with Excel. So I go find it in my programs list, and I will open it up after I open up Excel. When I do that, it puts a tab at the top called Add-ins. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's here and it says Add-ins. Once I click on the top called Add-ins, I come down and I can see PHStat. PHStat looks just like any other Excel file, except it gives you a list of different statistical procedures: data preparation, descriptive statistics, decision making, sampling, confidence intervals, so on and so forth. Okay, we're going to be using these today. Now, I have mutual funds open, I've accessed PHStat, and I'm ready to go. What I want to do, I just want to create a bar chart similar to the one I see on page 34. On page 34, I have a bar chart for risk, and I have high risk, average risk, and low risk. Now, these days, everything seems like high risk. My mutual fund, which I thought was very stable, is down with the financial crisis. But most funds are listed as high, average, or low. These three things. Now think, categorical or numerical? High, average, low. Categorical, because they're dealing with words or categories. Now, we are going to display these with a bar chart. As you see on page 34, the bars do not touch when we're dealing with categorical variables. Why? Because high has nothing to do with average and has nothing to do with low. Now, it makes more sense when you think about cat has nothing to do with dog, has nothing to do with fish. So we don't have the bars touch. Okay? And when I'm doing this, I go to PHStat, one-way table and charts. And if you follow the arrow over and click on one-way table and charts, it's going to ask you to input data, raw data cell range. And in this place, I click on the minus sign, and I'm able to drag all the way down. And I drag all the way down to cell 839. Now, you can also shortcut that and type F1:F839. These directions come straight from page 77. On page 77, it will step you through exactly what I'm doing on PHStat. How to make a bar chart, a pie chart, or a Pareto diagram. Remember, you want to select the very first row as well. I mean, F1 has the label risk. Now, if you look in PHStat, there's a check mark on the box. First cell contains a label. This is very important because if you don't do this, PHStat's going to think the first cell you check has a label whether or not you checked F1. Okay, this is very important. Then, once you select your data range, you can go in and choose bar chart, and while I'm at it, I'm going to select pie chart. Okay, and I click OK. And when I do that, Excel creates a very nice picture. Looking first at the bar chart. Your computer should look something like this. Okay? PHStat makes it very nice. Labels accordingly, and you can see the bars, and you can see that they are not touching. Now, PHStat makes your bar chart with a horizontal bar, but sometimes we see vertical bars on bar charts, and this is okay. Either one is fine. Now, when you interpret the bar chart, the end of the bar is how many mutual funds are at each level: low, medium, high, average, and low.